Hi, John Hess here, FilmmakerIQ.com, and I wanted to spend some time today talking about the visual language of this amazing Scarlett Johansson photograph. As you might have noticed, there is a lot more visual content on FilmmakerIQ.com, and I wanted to give you some tips and tools to help you approach this new content and look at it and use it to help advance your filmmaker IQ. First, I want to talk about DSLR resolution. Yes, it was a technological revolution, but the way I see it, it was also an artistic shift. Before DSLRs, there was this humongous wall between film and video. As a working professional at the time, we had the video look, these bad boys. I had to explain to our clients why video never looked as good as the Hollywood film stuff. The web at the time was full of articles talking about how to create that film look, cheating 24p by using PAL. We had 35mm adapters, which were big and clumsy and ate up all kinds of light. It was not cool. And then these guys came around, and now we have no excuse. They're small, they can go anywhere. Yes, they have problems, but they are tremendously better than what we had before. The wall between video and film began to crash down, and suddenly we can now use photography, photographic techniques to enhance our films. There was no more dividing line between film and video. Let's get back to Scarlett. Take a second and look at this image. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the aspect ratio. This is always, to me, a stumbling block of trying to apply photographic technique to film. Because in photography, you can crop an image any way you like. But in film, we're stuck to this aspect ratio, aren't we? We are stuck to 16:9 or 1.85 or 2.39 or whatever you want to fancy. But that isn't always the case, really. What I've discovered, and this is not a new thing, is you can use the set to frame up your shot, create different varying aspect ratios. Let's take this Scarlett Johansson photograph, this portrait-sized photograph, and now frame it inside a door frame. We have that same composition, but now it's inside the set. Using these creative framing techniques, suddenly all kinds of wild compositions, all kinds of aspect ratios are possible if you use your set creatively. Now, let's talk about lighting. We've got one big light coming from the window, which is probably the sun, and a fill on the other side showing all the curves of Scarlett Johansson's back. This technique of placing the shadow side toward the camera gives us every bit of those beautiful, wonderful, womanly curves. The image pops out and feels three-dimensional. Now look at her face. Notice how the light fills right up to the edge of her eye. The profile of her face is just wonderfully rendered here. You even have a little light catching on the earring, breaking up the little darkness between her face and the back of her head. Now, can you pull this off? Before, with these old video cameras, it would take quite a bit. You need a big old HDMI outside. But nowadays, just use the sun. The DSLR, a sun, and a little white cardboard, like I'm using here to light up the side of my face here. That's all you need to do. My entire career, I have been chasing warm tones. So to me, this is a huge departure, but it's something I absolutely love. I think it's fantastic. This icy tone works because of the amount of white that's in the image, white in the curtains and white in the white dress. Yes, you can ask yourself, how would you do it differently? What if it was a warmer image? Now here I ran the photo through Photoshop and put some curves on it and made it more of a warm sepia look. The image still works, but it works in a completely different way. In fact, I think it loses some of the details. It's also a good image, but it's not the artist's original choice. The blue is a choice, and when we're doing critical analysis of a piece of work, we have to respect the choices an artist makes. You have to be careful if you're going to make a judgment call saying that one choice is better than the other one, because we're also missing the context of which this image is supposed to appear. Is this image part of a magazine spread with a bunch of other photos that are also this icy blue tone? If this is a film, is the character Scarlett Johansson is playing, is she supposed to be icy and depressed and distant and cold, or is she supposed to be warm, reminiscent, and an object of affection? I have to admit that blocking is my weakest suit, so I love to look at photography and images with wonderful, beautiful blocking. Portrait photographers always talk about creating triangles in your shot. Look at the image. Do you see right away the major triangle coming across? It's right there. What I find absolutely amazing about this is the apex of the triangle is at her waist. If you shoot a woman half out of a white dress, most likely she's going to look frumpy and fat. That's because the dress is not fitting right and it's just hanging all over the place, so she's not going to look attractive. But Scarlett Johansson looks awesome here. And that's because they create a triangle using her arms and her shoulders and placing the apex right at her waist. It looks like she's almost erupting out of a flower here. The fact that she's twisted at the waist also makes her look thinner. Scarlett Johansson's not a real thin girl, and believe me, I love that about her. But twisting the waist just creates those womanly curves that are just so incredibly wonderful. Here's another Scarlett Johansson picture where they do just that. Also look at her head posture here. Her head and chin are down, creating another triangle above the strong triangle there, helping the light catch on her face. Now look at her arms. Her arms are on her dress and help create the triangle we just talked about. But they also push up and accent her breasts, which, as Martha Stewart would say, is a good thing. These are just some of the things that I gathered from this photograph. I put a lot of technical explanations to try to explain what I'm seeing in this photograph, but you can just enjoy the image as it is. Remember how it makes you feel. Store it in your memory banks. If you want to improve your filmmaking, this is the pool of experience you need to draw from. And notice at no point in this discussion did I talk about what camera this was shot on. Because frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. If you have to tell people what camera you shot on in order to get them to watch your film, then it's not a very good film, is it? Lens choice is important, but what matters is the content of the image. I hope I've given you some tools and some questions to ask to critically analyze the photographs that we're going to be posting here at FilmmakerIQ, because doing that kind of stuff will make you a better filmmaker. But story is always king. So all these tricks, all these techniques, they are there to enhance the story. They're there to make the story even more vibrant and more alive and more real. Subscribe to this channel and put a comment below what you liked about this photo, what you didn't like about this photo. My name is John Hess. I'll see you over there at FilmmakerIQ.com.